All right. So one thing that really stood out for me from the TED Talk was when he was comparing his emotions and feelings to like being in a closet. And he was saying like a closet's dark, lonely, depressive. He said something else, I can't remember what it was. And he was saying like that was exactly how he felt. And I feel like the like overarching goal of his message and like owning your truth is to like own it and to like speak out and in order to like make it better for others, because that's like what he was like, that was his end goal. And trying to make like the football industry better, because he said that basically like you can't be gay and a football player, and like that's like the stereotype. And um I think that's applicable in like a lot of different aspects of people's lives, not just their sexuality.
I definitely agree. I think also being gay in the like sports industry is not something that's really talked about. I think now it's becoming a lot more prevalent. Um, but I think for the longest time it's been kind of um, hidden in a way, because I think sports, you're taught to like be hyper masculine, and if you're anything but that, that's not okay. And there's always a problem with it. He also talked about having to be like two different people, like one in front of his family and friends, and then like one in front of his teammates. And I definitely think when you are in the closet, there are these two different roles that you have to play. Like I remember before I came out, having to almost change my personality, and not because I wanted to, but you kind of have to do it as like a safety measure, just because you never know how anybody's going to take it. And I think for me, especially in front of family, because I was brought up in a Christian household, there was this there was this way to act and this way to be as a male. And like if you did anything other than that, you kind of were looked down upon, if that makes sense.
I definitely related to his statement about how you do live the double life, being open and lesbian. I'm now 30, so for been out for probably about 15 years, and the comments that I've heard from people who um, don't understand A, homosexuality, or B, want to have a conversation in the context of Christianity, which I am a Christian and gay, which is something that's been a hard to discuss topic with other Christians. And also just kind of like having to explain myself all the time. Like a lot of people will be like, well, what made you think that you're gay? Or why do you cut your hair short? Or why do you wear boy clothes all the time? And it's this constant conversation. So it wasn't easy for me to switch back into like a double life, because like I'm just very gay, but and very gay presenting, lesbian presenting in a masculine way. So I understand how he felt like depressed and like not being able to have a space for himself, because that's something that I felt growing up in a Catholic and Southern Baptist home. But when my family did disown me for being gay, it was probably the most free I've ever felt. It did suck to lose those family members, but at the end of the day, I had my freedom. So
Yeah, I feel like if you have family members like that you just know are never going to accept you, it's like, how can you live your life? You know what I mean? It's like, because there's always going to be something wrong, and there's always going to be like something they're going to have to say. So I feel like if I was in that situation, I feel that my family would be the exact same way, and I would kind of had to, or I would have to do what you did, honestly, which like it does stink, and I hate that happened for you, but I'm glad you feel better ever since you did do it, you know?
yeah.
Off of that, there was a question that I feel like kind of went along with that, from the questionnaire. Number 8 says, why do heterosexuals place so much emphasis on sex? And my thoughts are like, I believe it stems from religion and like the biological aspect of reproduction. Um, I feel like that's like what a lot of people think, like heterosexuals think. But I was just curious, like, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest, because that's a question I've gotten all the time. like, why do you have to talk about what you do behind closed doors? That, you know, he said that in the TED Talk, and it's something I've heard quite a bit. But I think what people fail to realize is the visibility that we so deserve. In my youth, like gay marriage was not legal, so I had no idea if I would ever be able to get married. And so those are the important things to talk about. Those are the important things to take space about. That's why I live my life as out loud as I do. So the emphasis on sex is very odd because it's just kind of like no one's business in that aspect, but rather our due rights in this country. So
I did my paper on the LGBTQ community, and like some of the like statistics of it that I found out were insane. Like it wasn't that long ago that people like weren't sentenced to punishment for doing things behind closed doors, like if it was found out. And it really wasn't that long ago like that happened. And I was like, that's insane that you're punished for, or like something would happen to you if you did something behind closed doors. And I was like, I don't understand how that's anybody's business or like how that worked, but I just thought that was crazy.
I think it's so interesting that there's like people don't want to hear about like what homosexual individuals do behind closed doors and all that, but then you find that people in heterosexual couples will start sexualizing their children from such an early age, like putting like a little boy in like a shirt that's like oh like, or saying something that's like, oh like he's gonna be a lady killer when he grows up, and he's like 5 years old and just like a cute like little kid. I think it's just like it's such a double standard within heterosexual and homosexual like relations.
Do you guys want to move to the questions, or are we done talking about the video?
I'm good to move on to the questions if everybody else is.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Mhm. I can start. So I am heterosexual. And the first question asked, what do you think caused your sexuality? And I definitely think like the largest aspect of that was like my parents growing up, like their role model of a relationship and like a man and a woman. That was like the first thing that I ever saw. But then also like I am Christian, so then my religion played into it. But again, like the most important thing was like exploring my own sexuality and figuring out if that's what I wanted for myself, which I didn't even do until college. So but yeah, I mean, I'm confident in like what I believe I want.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. And I was just like I was always attracted to guys. And I mean, that was just my preference. That was always kind of so like, you know, it's just what I was attracted to and kind of the same, like what I always saw, what I was always raised by. So I feel like it just kind of fell that way for me.
I feel like it's also like important to, and I feel like this class alone has like opened my eyes to like all the societal pressures that do cause you to like think one way over another, feel one way over another. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people that I know, like just from back home, they've been married, they have kids, and then they get divorced and they like go for the opposite sex. So it's like, I'm sure like a large part of why they did that was because of society and not wanting to like own their truth. So it is really sad to think about all the people that live like that double life and can't like he said, you can't really live the life you want to live. So what's the point in living? And I can't imagine feeling that way. It has to be awful.
Yeah, and I feel like when a lot of people go to college too, they have that type of freedom to like really explore what they want to explore. And I feel like that's when people like really realize what they things like that. Because like I feel like when you're sheltered at home and you know it's the same thing, like that's all you know, it's kind of hard to even like look out differently because I mean it's just all you know. So until you get on your own, I feel like a lot of people don't take that step to like explore.
Especially like for individuals who like grow up, like Belinda was saying, in like a Christian household, or like, you know, are told one way over another. Like I definitely know if I came out as gay, my dad would probably definitely disown me. So I have a lot of respect for you, Belinda, like standing up for yourself and doing what is best for you, even though you had to make like sacrifices along the way.
Yeah, it was very difficult. My dad died last year, and it was like one of his greatest regrets was disowning me for being gay. So it's definitely, I think, like parents, they fear what they don't understand, and they always put this emphasis of the person that they wanted you to be rather than just letting you be yourself. So like of all my siblings, I'm the only one that's really gone off to college, or I joined the military and all this stuff, and the others fell under like that Christian guilt of like, well, I'm never going to make it, so I should just turn to drugs and alcohol. So it was definitely a conversation I had with the family that disowned me last year at my dad's funeral. It didn't really go anywhere, but it just goes to show, like, I don't know what was more disappointing to them, the fact that I'm still Catholic or gay, because they're super Southern Baptist, and that's cool for them. But even growing up, and the first time I went to college 10 years ago, I went to a small Christian college near where I live now called Montreat College. And I was only there for a semester because they forced me to go to therapy for being gay. And it's just like, even getting out of that toxic loop with my family, I just like ended up in another one with that private Christian college. So that's why I ended up joining the military. There's a lot of reasons why I joined the military, but also like, I was like one of the first generations to, after Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, to join the military. So I actually had like visibility there and protection there.
Wow.
So just moving forward.
Yeah. Have y'all ever heard of, she's like a comedian that she's lesbian, and like that's kind of like her thing is what she does. She's on Netflix, and we watched her in one of my classes, and like she made a lot of comments, like even those who have, the strength and the braveness to come out, she was like, it doesn't really get easier from there. Like that was like her big thing, is that, and she even struggled with it. Like she was like, I have to go to therapy, I have to do all this stuff because, even though she knew she was lesbian and all these things, like she still struggled in the world we live in today, like with being like that. And she kind of made some of it a joke, but then like she made some really serious points, and it was interesting if y'all ever want to go watch it. But yeah, like it was, some of the things she said just like really made me.
Was it in a Gadsby?
I want to say,
She makes quite.
I don't know. I think, did she have glasses, shorter hair?
Mm-hmm. She was wearing a blue suit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Her next week, actually.
Yeah. Really? Yeah.
Yeah. She had quite a.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching it a lot. Like it was sad because some of the things she made a jokes, you were like, do I laugh? Do I not? But
even as a lesbian, do I laugh at this or do I not?
Yeah. Do I not?
No worries there.
Yeah. Yeah. But I enjoyed watching her. I feel like I learned a lot from her with her show. So
Coming out is definitely. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think coming out is definitely a big step that, for those of us who have to do it. But at the same time, I feel like not everybody is always going to fully understand or even be accepting even after you do come out. And so I think it's just always going to be a journey, no matter like what age you're at. And I definitely applaud you, Belinda, for being so vulnerable and open, especially from such a young age, because I feel like for me, I don't want to say that I've missed out on life, but I feel like because it took me a little bit longer just based on family, that like there's a part of me that I can't get back, you know what I mean? Because it's like now that I'm getting older, I feel like I'm able to be more vulnerable, but I know like there's just a portion of my life where I didn't feel like I had that willpower, or even I didn't even feel like I had the voice and the time to be able to do so. And it's like I came out to my mom last year, and it definitely was probably one of the roughest times in my life, just because initially she was not accepting at all. And I don't even want to say that she's accepting now, but I feel like because she has no choice, I am her son. It's like, because she has no choice, I feel like now she's a little bit more open to it. Like she'll ask questions about my boyfriend, but like do it in a way that makes it seem as though he's not my boyfriend, if that makes sense.
Like your friend.
Yeah,
How's
exactly.
it? Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like now she's definitely coming around, which is what I've wanted, but I still feel like there's some uncomfortableness there. So it's definitely a process.
It is a process. My current partner, we're both like about to be 30. We're only a day apart, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. She didn't come out until she was 28. And we just actually recently had a very similar conversation where she felt like she missed out on a lot. But honestly, you come out when it's safe. You know, there's no like time that you have to come out. And it may feel like you've missed something, but a lot of people who come out early on in their life tend to go through a lot of traumatic experiences because they're not in a stable position to take care of themselves, and they're just not mentally all the way there. That's why a lot of the LGBT community has like very high rates of suicide and drug use and alcohol use and stuff like that. So don't worry about the journey so much as your happiness now. That's what
Definitely.
matters.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever like try to not be like, did you guys ever try to like, you know what I mean?
For me, absolutely not. No, I've always known, especially from a young age. And I mean, it's not that I don't find females attractive, because I do, but it's just like, it doesn't go any further than that for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just know it wouldn't go well. So,
Yeah. You just know, you're like,
yeah.
It didn't go well for me either. But that's like when you have parents that you do love and stuff, and they're like, well, you just haven't found the right guy. And then you find yourself in those situations where you're forcing yourself into either sexual or emotional experiences that are not for you, and then you'll have regret for it for the rest of your life. But that's what happens. Like, now that I'm older and looking back on it, I can forgive myself a little bit. And like, yeah, no, I'm very much gay. But also, like, a lot of people are like, ask me like why. I tell people like, yeah, I can find men to be aesthetically pleasing, sure, but I'm not blind, and most of my friends are straight, so I feel like I have to put on that facade of, yeah, girl, he's cute, looks like a trash can. It is what it is. So people will question my sexuality a lot because of that. Some people have asked me if I'm trans for some reason. I get that comment a lot, or if I'm bisexual. And really, I'm just your friendly neighborhood lesbian that tries to support other people in their sexualities, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like of the LGBT community, I feel like bisexuals are the most like bullied in our community for sure. I have a lot of bisexual friends who talk to me about just, you know, to give them visibility in this conversation about how like they never feel good enough no matter who they're with. And I think that's definitely a topic within our community that needs to be addressed and understood better.
Yeah.
I'm bisexual, and I like very much, I appreciate you bringing that into the conversation, because I felt like anytime I've been with like a guy, people will be like, oh, so you're straight, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not straight just because I'm with a guy. Like, I still am attracted to women, but at the moment, the person who I'm with is a man. Or, you know, if I'm with a woman, it's like, oh, so you're gay. And I'm like, well, so I'm still attracted to men, but like, and it's just, I feel like I have almost put myself in a position sometimes to where like I have either been like, okay, like I either need to be straight or gay. Like I need to like not be like this, because it does create like difficulties and like bullying, especially within the community that I've felt sometimes the most attacked. I feel very invalidated on occasion. But yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Belinda. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
I have a friend that's currently like, I remember you bringing this up in class, and it's exactly who it was definitely you. And like, I actually have a friend who's bisexual as well, and like my partner and I tried to talk to her about like what she's dealing with. She just recently came out as bisexual, and already feeling that invalidated in a community that should be very welcoming and understanding makes me really sad for her. So
Yeah.
and I've talked to other lesbians or gay men that are like, no, like what's wrong with them? They need to figure it out. And it's like, no, they don't. It's the point of being bisexual.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I kind of am the way that I am right now, and sexuality is very fluid. So if down the road I do ebb and flow to a different sexuality, then it is what it is. But at the moment, I feel, yeah, I mean, that's just who I am.
Right. I didn't realize the issue with the bullying of bisexuals until like really a few years ago, and I was just like, well, that's just ridiculous. You know, sad.
Being
Yeah, it's sad that
bullied.
it becomes like internalized within the own, like within a community that's supposed to make you feel like safe when there isn't, you know, when you don't potentially have people from outside of the community that are supporting you, and then you go to the community for support and you still aren't supported. I don't know. But that's
Being
not to
bullied.
say that I haven't had a lot of support within the community as well.
Being bullied in the sense of like you need to figure out like which way you want to go, or like
Yeah. Just I feel like a lot of people just like don't really like validate bisexuality in and of itself. Like, yeah, like it's just like make a choice. Like you're either straight or you're gay, and it's like sexuality is such a broad spectrum of what you can identify as. And so yeah, definitely just like make a choice. Like you're one or the other. Like you can't have both. Like, and a lot of people will be like, oh, so like you just want everyone. And it's like, no, like just as like a woman being attracted to a man, I'm not attracted to every man. Like, or if I'm a woman being attracted to women, like I'm not attracted to every single woman. So like, I don't know, people just like, definitely there's that stereotype of like, oh, like you just want like the best of both worlds. Like you just want it all.
I feel like in a way, like not to put one above the other, but like it could just be just as hard because it's like you're not necessarily confused, but like, you know what I mean? Like people just want you to make a choice and you don't have to make a choice. Like, you know, yeah. So I understand.
Like I've talked to other lesbians who are like, I refuse to date a bisexual woman because they just end up hurt. You know, like that's the just to question a little bit. That's the type of bullying you get. They almost get like ostracized from the entire community because it's like you can't like, especially with lesbians, it's like you can't trust them. They like the men's, and it's like, girl, go to therapy. Like, you know, like you shouldn't be treating like that. Like, yeah. To answer your question, Abby, that I know for a fact is how some bisexuals are treated.
That literally happened to me a couple months ago. That exact situation. I started talking to this girl and she was like, so like, are you like a full lesbian? And I was like, no, like I'm bi. And she's like, oh, that's a red flag. And I was like, well, I'm still like attracted to you. It's like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, I don't know. It's just.
You're doing nothing wrong. Like, I'm a lesbian, but you're right, sexuality is a spectrum. So I'm actually a demisexual, which means I have to have like that intellectual, emotional connection before I'm actually sexually attracted to someone. And both my partner are like that. And it's really hard for people to understand that, like, I'm not going to look at somebody walk by and just, you know, be like, dang, girl, you know what I mean? Like, I have to have a conversation. I have to know, like, what's going on in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Myself.
You'd be surprised how many people start talking and I'm just like, no, next.
Especially since a lot of the LGBT community meet online. So maybe that's where I developed, like, let me hear you talk. Let me hear what you have to say first.
Yeah.
That's so funny you say that, because one of my best friends is gay and she met someone on Hinge and went to see her. And she was like, yeah, nope, this is not for me. She was really pretty online, but she was just not like mentally my match, I guess you could say.
Exactly. It matters. It does.
Yeah, it matters for me too. I mean, I definitely like feel the same way. Like I want to like intellectually connect with you and like be able to like be challenged by my partner, and like the same for them, you know, kind of important.
Okay.
I think we're at like 25-ish minutes. If
Yeah,
everyone
we are too. I can't
solid.
recording.